show we have for you.
Filmed in our spacious studio located in Miller Music in the heart of Des Moines, at the heart of the heartland, the Uncle Ed Show features guests who vary from people who are victims of the problem to people who are part of the problem to people who are in a position to do something about the problem. When we aren't talking about problems, we'll have fun. That's our format, problems and fun. Oh, and a few of Uncle Ed's power songs performed by an 8-piece band of musicians who, together, bring you nearly 300 years of musical experience, not counting additional guest artists. And now, just a sample of what today's guest will bring to the back table of ideas.
Our guest today is Scott Roeder, R-O-E-D-E-R, and he's from Topeka, Kansas. Now, this man is a bona fide freeman. You heard about him in the papers. Now you get to actually look at one. As much as anyone is a bona fide freeman, since they don't carry around their freeman ID cards on their chest like the FBI agents do.
Right.
I don't have formal membership quite the same way, but this fellow has his credentials are in the Topeka County Courthouse.
Yeah, right. Along with many others, I'm sure.
He served his jail time for his ideas, and he's on a trial. He's on appeal for his issues, and maybe you're looking at some more a couple of months already. In the papers, you heard about the freemen. They write checks on what everyone but the freemen called fictitious bank accounts involving millions of dollars. His issues were not having a driver's license or license plates. Now, what was so important about the not having a driver's license that you'd want to go to jail for it?
Well, actually, I think it comes down to our God-given rights, and one of those is the God-given right to travel. And what the state has done is turned that into a privilege to drive. And how they do that is through our driver's license, when we sign for a driver's license. Therefore, we have to abide by the statutes that go along with that, which is called an adhesion contract. There are many types of adhesion contracts. That means that when you sign, you're responsible for whatever statute might be implemented. You have to uphold those statutes, or you're fined. Or
adhesion contract means what?
That basically that you you break it down to the root word is adhere. You adhere yourself to the statutes, regulations that come along with driving as a privilege versus traveling as a right. Traveling as a right, you're not encumbered by licensing, registration, insurance. People today say that we are free. Some still believe that we're free. And I genuine to anyone who thinks they're free to drive down the road without a driver's license. Personally, I had what's called an international motorist qualification, which a highway patrolman told me was a legal document.
It was?
Yes, it's a legal document.
Where do you get one?
I got mine out of Oregon, I believe it was. You just receive them through the mail.
Who provides them? How do you qualify for one?
You basically just in the information that you need to tell them that you're a qualified traveler. And basically, it's not the fact that you're certifying that you're a good driver or not, but it's just the fact that you are under God's law traveling by right. So,
and a highway patrolman told you that was a legal document?
Yes, he did.
Did he know what he was talking about?
Well, see, that's the problem with a lot of these documents. One highway patrolman would say that it is legal, and the next would say that it's not.
You would?
Oh, yeah, I've had that happen to me too. They're not used to them. They're not used to them. But anyway, the fact remains that
the patrolman that said it was legal, did he know where it came from?
Well, apparently he quoted in court that he knew that it was a legal document. I can't tell you exactly if he knew where it came from, but it was registered to British West Indies. You know, again,
You mean by the government of British West Indies?
yes.
It was issued by the government of British West Indies, came through Oregon?
Yeah, well, it was sold through a company in Oregon. I think I saw the advertisement.
What a wonderful world.
But you know, again, technically, I wouldn't have even needed that under God's law, but it just helps you. You know, it's a document that you have versus having no document. Again, I didn't even need that to travel under, you know, God-given right.
Okay, so you have an adhesion contract that you don't think you should be bound by. The state thinks that you ought to have this adhesion contract which adheres you to obeying traffic laws.
Well,
you don't want to obey traffic laws. Don't think you should have.
No, it's not that. It's the fact that under the God-given right to travel, there has to be a crime in order. There has to be a victim in order for there to be a crime. Now, if you sign for a driver's license, which you're waiving, you know, unknowingly waiving your God-given right to travel, therefore, if you go 5 miles over the speed limit, or if you turn left without using your turn signal, you have just broken a statute that you have adhered yourself to, saying that you will abide by those rules. Therefore, you can be fined and ticketed and ultimately go to jail because you broke the statute. But there is no victim. It's a victimless crime. Again, under the God-given right.
So you believe under God's laws we should be free to ignore traffic lights and go any
No, not at all. No, under God's law, you're free to do anything that does not break God's law and does not harm anyone else. If you do not harm anyone else and break God's law.
Okay, but I mean, as long as you don't.
So therefore, you follow traffic signals. As long as you don't run
into anybody, you should be free to.
If you don't harm anybody, if you don't injure their car, you have to injure a person or property for there to be a crime under God's law. Okay.
So
now, when you go 5 miles an hour, when you go 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, can you tell me, please, who the victim is? I would like you to place the victim in front of me. And again, if you turn left without using.
I'm just trying to restate accurately your position, and your position apparently is that as long as you don't run into anybody, you should
harm anybody.
God's law declares you free to drive any way you like without regard to traffic lights or speed limits.
No, again. Well, if you want to get technical,
as long as you don't harm anybody.
The bottom line is, as long as you don't harm anyone. Now,
okay. Now, would scaring
common sense
the living daylights out of somebody constitute a harm?
Well, so I think what you're getting at is if you drive through a red light, you might scare someone. Now, see, common sense. You know, God's law are also very commonsensical. I mean, you know, you're not going to go through a red light, even though the statute or the God's law says you don't have to obey it. You know, you follow that because it's common sense. You know, the bottom line is that you use your common sense. You drive reasonably. You travel reasonably. Driving is a legal term. It's a commercial legal term, but that's another story. But as long as you do not harm anybody, see, that's what common law is all about. You know, there has to be a victim before there's a crime. If you go 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, there's no crime. There's no victim. Under God's law, if you have a driver's license, you have broken that.
Actually, if you only go 5 miles over the speed limit, you probably won't be apprehended anyway.
Well,
you get into 10 over, and then you start to
the fact remains is you broke the statute.